through the 6 invitational qualifiers came to a disappointing close for that team, failing to even make it to the semi-semifinals. They didn't even really make it to the quarterfinals. Of course, you saw that it was Orglis, Rise Nation, and Space Station as your final 3 teams. But that's just the qualifiers. And hopefully DarkZero is well rested because they will be going up against one of the best teams in the world through the 4 play days thus far. The very first ban will be EG, taking out a Montaigne here. DarkZero responds with a Jackal. It was Necrox who's been playing an awful lot of Jackals so far for Evil Geniuses. And despite the fact that teams keep banning Montaigne against DarkZero, it's the blitz of Mint that ends up being most teams' undoings.
If I'm not mistaken, Necrox has been one of the top performers for Evil Geniuses so far this season, so if the target ban is directed at him, that makes a whole lot of sense, especially on a map like Coastline, where there's so few places to hide as a defender, that if your Jackal's going to start detecting people, then I mean, you don't really often have a place you can move to. So that's a smart play as much as it is an odd ban from coming out into this match from DarkZero. So, Maestro and Echo both gone. That's not uncommon. Usually you see one of them at least. Both of them, not too crazy. The Montaigne also be taken out. Not too crazy. So across the board, making a whole lot of sense. DarkZero is going to bring the Blitz in lieu of the Montaigne. Also a sensible thing. But actually, ooh, it's a fake out. I like this from DarkZero. Keeping the shield in mind for Evil Geniuses, but not in play for DarkZero. They're going to bring the Dokkaebi instead.
NVK carrying his team in yesterday's matchup. He's been promoted to the Doc, so they'll be slapping the ACOG on him, and he'll be able to do some damage from that position. With Maestro being banned, we're going to see a bulletproof camera from NVK go on the bomb chassis in A, looking all the way towards the delivery/service times of things. Or sorry, my apologies, bomb site B. Sometimes I get those confused. But as for the rest of the team, they've got tools at their disposal to be able to take care of the shields. They've got the toxic canisters from the smoke. They've got the C4 in hand on behalf of Geo, who still has not changed his name. And then you've got the goo mines as well from Young. This also happens to be a pretty good site to be able to lock down shield play, because typically you're going to push through one of 2 areas. The main doorway into the kitchen, or the service entrance, both of which are ripe to be laid out with tons of traps.
Sen, Poppy, Geo. Is that a combination of Senpai and Poppy?
I have since learned to not question the names that Geo uses. Geometrics was by far and away his best name, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would agree with that one. But we know him as Geo. His name is Geo. He's going to have a camera out on that north balcony. It looks like it might have been shot out there, actually, by Pojo. Didn't quite catch it, but he's still trying to play aggressive on the north balcony. We've seen a lot of people do that. We were talking earlier in the previous match, actually, about that defense aggression being also necessary, especially on a map like Coastline, where you have so little to fall back on as defender.
We're going to be seeing an awful lot of Hot and Cold be playing Buck on this map, which is pretty commonplace for DarkZero when it comes to Coastline. Imagine that Matthew Stevens, a.k.a. Hot and Cold, will likely be going upstairs at some point to try and rain down on the defense. From the look of the silhouettes, we can tell that there will be second floor presence from EG. We've got Necrox's typical Jaeger being played in the hands of Canadian, or at least somewhat typically Necrox over the last little while. They had him on Jaeger for a little bit here. NVK inside of the main lobby with all those doors barricaded, knows that he might be in a contest against that Buck, but first set of logic bombs will try to keep everybody in place. Playing just next to that wooden wall, you're going to see that first phone call be silenced by NVK, and a second drone from Hot and Cold will come out as this game of cat and mouse will continue. All the while, you're going to see double presence at NVK, a beautiful shot through the main lobby door, trying to follow up on it, but no, it's Canadian there, and he's downed. Nyx will finish him off, but the Doc of NVK will be able to revive himself. So, a great play from Canadian to transfer his life and strength over to NVK. Keep that Dogs in excellent position. Oh no, Mint, you gotta land those shots. He finally will, but the smoke cutting off NVK means that EG will be, for the time being, cut in half. Still waiting to see what NVK can do inside of the main lobby. He's just going to fire blindly into that smoke, but not find any target.
Nyx in sight, and he's got a great position here to cut off rotation. There's only one anchor right now, and that's Necrox. As the smoke, he will be shot in the hand, not the face, and Nyx narrowly missing an opportunity. Geo's able to get Mint, and that's one of the flank holds, so that's going to allow those 2 roamers to rotate back. A second there for Geo. Excellent gunplay from the Valkyrie. Nyx will very much the same. As he's on low HP, he could win this, but it's going to be close. Challenging Necrox, he'll lose the fight. Evil Geniuses take round number 1, but it was a close and well-fought round from both teams.
Almost zero chance for Nyx to walk away from that altercation alive, largely due to Gio's call to push through lobby and then meet up in bathroom. That is a trade waiting to happen on EG's side of things. So what would have been essentially an impactless frag on Nyx's behalf doesn't even end up happening. He gets the down, but that's not really going to give you much.
We only had one anchor for a large portion of that round on Evil Genius' side, and DarkZero clearly were not aware of that. They were putting a little bit too much emphasis on taking the main lobby. And the fact that they did not get NVK in the initial engagements or any of the following engagements were, in my opinion, it was the real crime there from DarkZero that they weren't able to get that NVK dock. Following that, Gio coming back from his roam, he actually swept up into security and then into the open area to get those last 2 kills on the flank watchers before pushing his way in to assist Necrox. Really gotta say, great job to Gio on the flank, great job to MBK in the main lobby, and great job to Necrox being that linchpin, the anchor in sight, not faltering for a second, and coming up to the last moments of that round, able to finally get the last kill onto Nyx. A lot of you might have been wondering, by the way, why did Nyx not die, or why did Nyx not get that kill onto Necrox when he was holding the rotation? When you're holding that SMG-11, your hands come up really close to your face, and that's what Necrox happened to have in hand. And in case you did not know, bullets do not penetrate limbs typically in Rainbow6, so if you shoot someone in the hand and it's blocking the head, no headshot.
Yeah, very frustrating, especially when you're going up against operators like Rook and Doc. This is a huge run out from Canadian, very brazen, over towards the pool where he infamously spawn-peeked Jonas and match point against his team at the Invitational Grand Finals, map 5 last year. So yeah, it's going to go for another roll of the die, obviously being powered by his favorite sponsored energy drink, which he likes to try and tout as much as he possibly can. Coming into this matchup, a big shout out to Siege GG for their stat work, of course. Nyx sitting with the 2nd highest kills in the entire region. Obviously Rampy leads the way, but Nyx not too far off. And with 2 kills so far through this first round, Nyx is only 5 away from 50. He's currently sitting at 45. And it's very likely that at least one player will hit that 50 bomb today.
Nyx gonna lose his drone though. That drone hole there between VIP and the hallway just outside of B is actually hotly contested. And it's going to be Nyx to try and challenge it, but he'll lose the fight to Gio as he is not far enough away to gain the angle onto Gio's head. Those angles, that perspective can be quite difficult to manage in Siege, and just a little bit of a miscalculation there on Nyx's part. That puts DarkZero a man down, having used half the round so far to take control of the north and east side of this top floor on Coastline. Houghton working his way towards Luggage Hall. He's doing it quite slowly, but he's aware that Canadian is playing behind the bar inside of Aquarium. The fallback, though, will be called by Pojo, and that's going to make Houghton aware that he can push this. A long angle being played here by Canadian could potentially net a kill, but he's playing with fire at this point as 3 DarkZero operators come in to push Aquarium.
Hot and Cold's entrance will be cut off, but so will be Canadian as he gets pushed out of the double panel in the back of Billiards. That'll be an opening frag on behalf of DarkZero after Nyx had gone off earlier. So with EG defending this site upstairs, you'll see that the rest of that team will have to coalesce around the site. 2 bodies for EG downstairs. Imagining that they will be trying to use either of those stairwells, likely Cool Vibes, as it's a much safer entrance back to the site. But NVK is going to go through the main lobby instead. And you've got Mint there possibly doing flank watch as the Zofia playing inside a 90, a spot that was for a period called Jaeger spot, as there'd usually be a Jaeger playing in that position. The smokes from Young, or from Necrox rather, will be incredibly helpful. You've also got the C4 from Young, not too far off. And you look to try to cut off DZ's entrance. Oh, Houghton just storms the gates on top of the billiard table. That'll be his 2nd kill. Mint is there to take out Young. NVK coming back to site will do so admirably, taking out Hot and Cold. For a second, it sounded like we would hear the telltale rip of the C4 from the Valkyrie, but he'll get shut down as Jarvis dodges around the corner and leaves NVK down in courtyard, languishing far offsite. Diffuser goes down in favor of DarkZero, and oh, the flank watch of Mint. Say goodbye. NVK, very low HP, trying to come back. He's going to have to be looking at a lot of different avenues to get inside of this site. You still got Jarvis and Pojo man up for DarkZero. And NVK will begin his assault very slowly, looking in towards Hookah. But he turns his back to Pojo Man, and it's a very easy cleanup for the Capitale, and an anticlimactic round for the fans of Evil Geniuses. That fan base is going to bleed blue on that one. DarkZero equalizes.
It's a shame we missed that shot from MVK. It must have been exceptionally clean, but it wouldn't have mattered. In the end, not being able to clutch it out is not terribly surprising. If he had had full HP, maybe, a little bit more information on his side, then it was possible, but not the case. Now, overall, that attack round from DarkZero, well conducted. I like their focus on Aquarium. They did not get distracted. Despite losing that man early on, they were able to have a great execution there when they actually went for it. A big part of that was Hot and Cold. In my mind, he was the hero of the round, able to get the first entry onto Canadian, but also followed that up by taking out Necrox. Once Necrox was eliminated, there was so little presence on Billiards for Evil Geniuses. They still had the C4s in play, 2 of them in fact, Geo and also the Mute inside of Hookah, but neither of them able to get those C4s off in any meaningful way. And because of that, DarkZero, with an uninfluenced Billiards site, was able to get that defuse plant down. So props to DZ for that push and that play. Evil Geniuses had a good setup to counter it, but it just didn't work out. As the unbridled aggression from DarkZero came out, there was no response from EG.
I like the way that DarkZero controlled Aqua as well, especially with Houghton in that position. Canadian was in such a bad spot by that double wall that there was no way for him to rotate out. He tried to when Necrox threw down the smoke grenade. And one of the things that a lot of people overlook is that we've seen many smokes burn one of the toxic canisters solely to allow their teammate to try and rotate behind it. Now, that yellow smoke cloud is not fully opaque. You can see through it. It's got a bit of transparency to it, and that's exactly what happened. Hot and Cold, and from our perspective too, looked like Canadian was visible, clear as day. But sometimes you're able to try and get around that smoke without really worrying about getting pinched off. If there was more of an opaqueness to it, there, I think would open up more opportunities for counterplay around that and being able to use those toxic canisters in a way to help your team.
DarkZero going to be joining their way in again from the north side and the east side of the building. And doing this, they are getting themselves a pretty easy entrance into the building because DarkZero aren't going to have to contest any of the Evil Genius roamers over here. As EG has just been playing the vertical roam exclusively. No horizontal roamers to speak of. So that's a good, it's either a good read or a poor call from EG, or a good read from DarkZero or a poor call from EG. Either way, it's working out really good for DarkZero as they now have full control of Aquarium without having to really work too much for it. It took half the round, sure, but at the same time, it's good control. Now here's a nice call from Evil Geniuses also. Canadian with the pulse underneath, potentially going to get a kill right now, and yes, there it is. Nyx goes down. Well-placed C4 there from Canadian. No
heads up from DarkZero to understand that, and once again, DZ will have to pull this one off without their main weapon, which is the Ashe on Nyx, who incidentally, and interestingly, has actually played Ashe more than anybody else in this entire region, more than Rampy. Canadian from below. Doesn't have a second C4, but he does at least have a cardiac sensor to be able to call to the rest of his team, and one of the most communicative members of any single North American team will be able to vocalize that. He's got 3 tasty morsels on his plate. All of them currently arranged over on Aqua's side, waiting to push on him.
Tricky thing here is that DarkZero are now committed to this strategy, and their strategy is fully given away. Mint's going to get the first entry, though, and NVK going down is going to be fantastic. A little bit of a miss there from Young, but it's okay. It's just a goo mine. 3 people playing the same angle here from DarkZero is not good.
Surely you have to have one flank watch, somebody over in the luggage side of things. Young, through the smoke, takes out Jarvis. The buck is down, and Mint will also be alive, but then dead. He'll join the rest of his teammates in the grave as DarkZero gets buried under an avalanche of Evil Geniuses. They just storm all the way out of Hookah in towards Billiards, and you say goodbye to every single member of DZ.
Yeah, that was a solid hold there from Evil Geniuses, not allowing DarkZero to make that rush happen a second time around. So good job to EG. DarkZero got the early control in the north and the east, as they did in the previous attempt attacking Billiards, and they got the early control onto Aquarium. It was even easier this time because Canadian wasn't challenging it, but they also didn't get any of those early picks that Houghton was able to get the first time that DZ attacked Billiards. Because those early picks didn't come out, it was a slaughter when DarkZero tried to force their way into sight. They didn't have the right tools for that job, and here you go. Don't have them? Bring them. They've decided to pull out the Blitz on Mint. And as we all know, I'm sure, Mint is an exceptional Blitz player. We've seen him do some amazing things with Blitz in the past. Got an ace, for example. So we'll see if he's able to pull the same feat out of his hat this time around. Evil Genius is going to be one of the hardest opponents to do that against. Going to the double bar site. We've gone to everywhere except for Penthouse so far, and it's only been 4 rounds.
Ten seconds to insertion.
These double bars downstairs tend to be one of the best ways for the defense to extend on a lead. It does hold the distinction of the one site that has the highest defensive win rate.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
Really hinges upon the operator bans. Mira does make this site a lot easier to defend, but there has been an astonishing lack of Mira so far, even though the fact that she is not banned.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite interesting to see Mira not being played here, but I mean, it's not that crazy of an idea. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of teams that just don't do Mira anymore, and yeah, it makes sense. She gets banned quite a lot. It's hard to make strats around her, and sometimes if you have the Mira window open, it completely destroys your whole strategy. So it forces all of your focus as a defender into one point, and that's the Mira window. And sometimes it can be more of a distraction than anything, to be honest.
All right.
That's a judgment call each team has to make.
This is the same position that Hot and Cold has played in prior, which is downstairs in security. That's a bit of a waste of a drone from Pojo there. I don't think he was expecting to lose it. Mint is going to throw his own in now, but Geo scoots off.
It's an interesting roam right now from Evil Geniuses. They've got a good control on the top floor.
I would imagine both the hatches are blown, right? You've got the hatch over, yeah. No, the hatch is actually soft behind Geo. He does have, if he has an impact, he's going to be able to open it up. This is very similar to what we've seen from Lestream, actually. Lestream does a setup very, very similar to this. But no, Geo actually ran a bulletproof camera, so very unlikely that he'll be able to drop through the hatch at some point, which will be a big advantage for DarkZero. Throw Mint on the Blitz and just have him basically storm right in, but a great crossfire is established as Young is there. Necrox takes down Mint. Nyx, unfortunately, disconnects, but we have a great defuse plant going down on behalf of DarkZero. They're second through 4 rounds. Hot and Cold waiting and watching to see if somebody's going to drop, as there's a post plant on behalf of DZ. Pojo sitting inside, he'll get a Canadian as he tries to rotate back to site, but there's still 4 more bodies to go, and EG's going to be able to double up quite well. Hot and Cold is nowhere near this diffuser, just waiting to see if there's going to be a disable happening. Oh, Hot picks up 1, he's going to be able to find the second. He's spotted on the cam, comes right in, but no, Young is there, cuts him down. All the while, the diffuser being worked on by the Jaeger of NVK, and Evil Geniuses will walk away with a pretty great round. Unfortunate for DarkZero to have Nyx drop at the last second. Who knows how that could have turned out without it, but at least he's back in the matchup this time.
So it looks like we will be having a rehost, as DarkZero are calling it right now. We don't know exactly what's going on their side right now, but it's fair. We'll go for that rehost. We're going to get back into the match here as we have everything set up and ready for you guys. We'll be going back to Kitchen, the first site that we saw Evil Geniuses defend. They were successful the last time they went here. So, overall, the fake out of the Mira. Again, the Mira not being played here by Evil Geniuses. They don't want to commit fully to it, and I honestly agree with their thought process here. The Valkyrie is going to be a more influential operator, in my opinion, and Geo has been playing really well on Valkyrie so far. Another thing I like is that they decided to 6-pick into the Valkyrie. That means that DarkZero is unlikely to 6-pick into an IQ to counter that Valkyrie. IQ not being played here from DarkZero is also still, despite that fact, surprising. Their lineup has been fairly static, all things considered. I think there's definitely an argument to be made at this point, considering how good or how well Geo has been playing Valkyrie. Even if you don't see the Valkyrie, in the reveal phase, to still bring an IQ instead of maybe an Ashe or a Twitch. I mean, it would be really nice because we've seen a lot of Evil Genius Valkyrie cams actually in positions that have not been noticed by DarkZero. There was one, for example, in the last round, there was one in the southern lobby. So all the while DarkZero is attacking onto double bar, their positions are exposed and they're being called out to all of Evil Geniuses. That's why DarkZero lost so many of those fights. So IQ could be good here.
Coastline's a very strange map in the sense that the attacking lineup stays the same for all 6 rounds. There's almost very limited flexibility on the attack. A team will run with the same 5 composition. You'll usually be absent a hard breacher. You usually be absent a glass because he'll likely be banned most of the time. Strangely, not actually banned here on this match, which is very fun.
I mean, if we're going to make the argument about map, then that even reinforces the IQ pick because Coastline is also one of those maps where if Valkyrie is not banned, she's almost always in play, which means you should probably have an IQ. So, I don't know. Definitely an interesting setup right now. We'll see how it plays out, though. Still potential for a comeback here from DarkZero. They haven't lost the half yet. They could still draw it.
Attackers have located a bomb.
All right. So I want to see what we can accomplish or what can be accomplished from Hot and Cold because I haven't really been all that impressed with his utility play. He's been fragging out quite well, but
yeah.
I'm so used to him just sitting up there, tearing up the floor and all of that, and it's not really been the case. Pojo gets the opening frag, and Nyx is there. There you go. Get on the board, Nyx. Get your kill. Takes out NVK and sits down the dock.
Excellent shot there from Nyx, and he's getting ever closer to that 50 kills total in the season, so well done to him. Canadian, though, on a deep roam upstairs, and he still has that vertical control, which means DarkZero is not going to be able to utilize much of their utility. An unreinforced wall is going to make Young's life oh so very difficult, and he will be forced to rotate, which will really block out the control here for Evil Geniuses. They're in a tricky spot now. Canadian trying to bring his team back into things by getting some aggressive kills, but he's not able to find any.
Trying to hold off now with utility still in hand of Evil Geniuses. Necrox rotates all the way out, actually, to Courtyard. Looking to see if he can find somebody there, but there's nobody all the way down in blue bars for him to connect with. He only has 1 toxic canister left. All the while, Mint inside, doing great work to get that plant down. Young almost getting cut off inside a bathroom as he tries to wrestle with DarkZero. It appears that the plant has been abandoned for the time being. A smart call from DZ. Opening up that briefcase for a second time to get the diffuser down will be Mint, as Hot and Cold loses most of his HP. Young attempting to return to site. There you go, Nyx. A second kill. Get on the board. Hot and Cold takes one down as Canadian trades off Jarvis. And, well, all poor Necrox. Looking through a rotate hole into blue all the way over towards Sunrise. We'll need to rotate in back towards the site. A frag grenade goes sailing over top, but his position not given away. So quiet, he'll feast upon Hot and Cold as there's not much life left in the buck to begin with. That drone of Mint will give away Necrox's position, and, well, Necrox just wanders right on in. There's Nyx with a 3-piece. Excellent work. He's going to come back. He's going to come back with a fury. DarkZero will grab their second round, and a man whose name has somewhat eluded me, at least in the last 5 minutes. Excellent job from Nyx.
So how close is he to 50 kills in the season, Parker? Where are we at right now?
He'd be at 5 kills. He'd be at 48, if my numbers are correct.
So if Parker's numbers are correct, and I think they are, sounds about right, then just 2 more kills, and he'll take that 50. And I believe he would be the first in North America to accomplish that?
Nobody's at 50 in North America. Rampy is very close. He's 4 away.
Okay. So
not that kills matter. Kills are not the only thing, but most of the people here that are topping the charts, those are your entry fraggers.
Right.
These are the people that you're expecting to get kills.
And because Nyx has the highest play rate in Ashe, or as Ashe in NA, so I think that's really something that he should be getting. And he managed in that round, and it was a big part of why DarkZero was able to take the round. Massive props to you, Nyx, accomplishing that. Now, going back to billiards, we've been here 3 times now. Seems to be one of the more beloved sites here from Evil Geniuses. They won it the last time we were here, lost it the time prior, but that was due to some unlucky mistakes being made by EG and some great plays by DarkZero. It's definitely a full lockout on the second attempt for Evil Geniuses, and it will be the last defense for EG on this map, as we are about to transition into the second half.
Camera in position.
Again, the Valkyrie in play. Again, some great Valkyrie cams. Potentially, again, some excellent info on EG's side. And no IQ.
Attackers are moving out to locate
All right, another spawn peek here from Canadian. He might actually get one. Oh, he's a second too early. We saw the double silhouettes from DarkZero.
Oh.
That would have been Nyx as well. But it had possibly been silenced from the ACOG of the Rook. Canadian as he will head back in. Canadians actually played quite a number of operators so far. Vigil, Pulse, Jaeger, and now the Rook.
Yeah, he's got a diverse lineup, that's for sure.
Good flexibility that can be afforded on that team.
Yeah. Mint back onto that shield, and he wasn't able to do anything the last time he brought the shield, as he walked into a crossfire and unfortunately got gunned down pretty easily. He's definitely a great blitz player when he's not really been given many opportunities yet this match. Hot and Cold downstairs potentially could use that skeleton key to really disrupt this defense, but he needs somebody to hold for him, and you could see all those drones working on the DZ side to gather information and say, hey, yeah, Houghton, you can start working, and he's going to start with a nade. Bad timing there. Unfortunately, not going to get anything with that grenade.
I think that was Necrox, too, who actually just escaped the blast of that frag grenade, so would have been a very good opening pick, and not necessarily a perfectly thought-out target, but still would have paid dividends for DarkZero. As this is what I was expecting out of Hot and Cold. Patrol underneath, take away the ability for the defenders to sit, and just wait for your push. It's NBK on Cool Vibe stairs, though. Possibly in a tango with Nyx, not too far off. Nyx droning himself in, as you'd mentioned earlier. Seems to be the deliberate choice for the Ashe, if we could say that as well.
Yeah.
Also, whether they knew there was a shield or not, it's very apparent as you can hear the telltale clanging of the shield as Mint tries to advance onto the stairs. Canadian eliminating Hot and Cold, using those sight lines that were opened up by the Buck, as they do end up being a two-way street.
So DarkZero now in a tricky spot. They don't have a whole lot of control, and the holes that were opened from below really not working in their favor. They also have yet to take control of the Cool Vibe stairs, which is going to put Evil Geniuses in an excellent hold position. Nyx using his Ash Charge to clear out the barbed wire, not aware that there's somebody playing in that northwest corner. He will find an angle, though, onto the Rook of Canadian and take him down. Young trying to refrag will give away his position, and now it being known, DarkZero will put pressure onto the Young player deep inside of Hookah. NVK does get a frag, though, so it's looking even worse as Pojo goes down. That's the utility that won't be used. The smokes are not in great position right this minute, but here come Mint smokes to try and cover. He's got a good potential rush here. Nyx trying to come up Cool Vibes, and he will, just narrowly lose the fight. He does down Young, but it's not enough as MVK gets the refrag, and Necrox will clean up Mint as he attempts to rush in. He will be exposed, not crouching. Jarvis, the last one alive for DarkZero, and he's going to get one, going for a second, but there's no time. Evil Geniuses lock out that round. Great job on the refrags from EG.
Excellent positioning from Evil Geniuses as they fell off of Hookah. They retreated into Billiards. They kept one body on Cool Vibe stairs and just expected everything go according to plan. And a big part of why that plan could continue on was because you took out Hot and Cold early. You took out the Buck, all of the sightlines that had been opened up underneath the feet of the defenders. Well, that's it. You know where they are. You can play around it. You don't have to worry about a surprise grenade getting tossed through. You don't have to worry about more of the land upon which you sit being taken from you. You know that at that point, you're sitting pretty, so to speak. And EG could play around that. They fell back into Billiards. They had a lot of sight lines, both the double doors inside of Pink, the rotate hole into Hookah. You had one body, two bodies technically playing over by Cool Vibes. You had the Legion that was playing in the back of Hookah. And then you had the Jaeger playing at the top as well. Ultimately, almost picture-perfect coverage, even after they lost the Rook of Canadian. And EG responding to the aggression from DZ's push into Hookah. So now that we switch sides, Michael, it's going to be a kitchen defense to start things off here for DarkZero, with the game being quite in hand for EG, at least for the time being. It seemed like momentum had partially started to shift after Nyx got back into the lobby after the rehost. But, alas, for DZ fans, you got one round in a row.
Yeah, Evil Geniuses look very strong there on the first half, and going into the second, they've brought a very versatile lineup, though light on soft destruction. They have brought the Ashe, so you do have that, but you've got, apart from that, the anti-electronics in the Twitch, you've got the disruption in the Capital, you've got more anti-electronic in the IQ. This is what we wanted to see, or at least what I wanted to see from DarkZero when they were on their attacking half. Able to get those Valkyrie cams is going to be huge for Evil Geniuses. And you've got Young on the Habana, so a little bit of hard destruction. It's not essential that you bring hard destruction on Coastline, but having it can really help. It's going to put EG, I think, at a good situation in terms of their utility. Already an Xcaros being used there. I'm not sure where exactly, but it will detonate, looks like by Kitchen.
This is the first time that we've seen some hard destruction on behalf of
Maybe Castle Barricade.
any team, really, on Coastline.
Yeah.
Really rare to see a Thermite or a Hibana get brought, and typically you're going to see a Hibana, if anything.
Yeah, on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. A Thermite really doesn't see a lot of application. Really, the only time you'll see him is maybe on a penthouse attack if you know that that's where they're going, maybe on a kitchen attack to take out the bathroom wall. But that's really the only 2 times that you'll see an exothermic charge get any use here.
And on top of that, I mean, nobody goes penthouse anymore. We haven't seen it yet so far. It's the only site that's left unplayed. So, yeah, considering how rarely it is played, it's not surprising Thermite doesn't get picked up here very often.
Previous EU play day, when we saw Coastline in Chaos versus Penta, there was no penthouse play there either. If you go back to SSG versus DZ, or my apologies, still looking back farther onto the last Coastline here.
Some action going down as Jarvis looking his way through a very tight angle onto Guitar. Will land some shots, but Canadian able to take out his teammate of Houghton. So there goes the Valkyrie. Jarvis really does need to get a refrag before he falls off this. While DarkZero has managed to delay quite a lot, it really will be all for naught.
Jarvis being able to get back over towards this reinforcement that has been opened up by those ex-Kairos inside of VIP. You've got Geo there with Young, not too far off, but it does appear that Jarvis will be able to retreat enough and not get caught. Thankfully, as a Doc, he's able to heal himself back to life. A reset for Canadian as well from Young. So you'll get 2 members of either team fighting fit, so to speak. We are in the last half of this round number 7 with EG holding a 4-2 lead in the very first defense for DarkZero, in which the defense have actually looked pretty good overall. With 1 member down on DarkZero, they will trail in body count, and EG begins their assault over on towards the kitchen. And it does appear to be a service entry push, which is exactly what you'd anticipate. EG's plant being enabled by Canadian above as the Ash just looks down through the floor that has been opened up inside a master bedroom. Another smoke from Necrox will go out, and then a second smoke will go out, and this time a canister onto Young, who appears to be as good as dead. Pojo, Jarvis, and Nyx getting one, and there you go, 50 kills on the board for Nyx, picks up 2, and Pojo there with 2 of his own. As DarkZero answers back, they will close that gap just ever so slightly. And congratulations. First to 50 frags in North America is going to be your boy Nyx.
He's been having a good season so far. He's been a good addition to this roster since he came on previous season. So it's awesome to see him have that feat. Major props. Now, that last round, while DarkZero did lose 1 player upstairs, they narrowly allowed for the Doc to rotate back, and I think most important, there were 2 minutes wasted on that top floor clear from Evil Geniuses. So it was a lot of time wasted, and there was plenty of utility for DarkZero when the actual site push came out. Those gas canisters, those goo mines were able to not only slow down and disrupt Evil Genius's attack, but also even kill Young flat out. As he enters into the building, he died to a combination of goos and gas canisters. So that is really painful to watch happen, and it comes down to great utility management from DarkZero and good, poor time management from Evil Geniuses. That's why that happened. Now, Double Bar is the next site here for DarkZero, and they're getting pretty close. It feels as though they have the capacity to bring this gap all the way back. All things considered, I mean, in the last round, they looked exceptionally strong, managing to lock out, I think, in pretty dominant fashion for DarkZero.
Yeah, overall, attacking service is very difficult, especially when you have to try to maintain that presence above. And Ash is obviously a very formidable operator to have up there, but we've seen Zophia's go up there with the breaching charges to be able to open up 3 different parts of the floor. We've seen Bucks be able to go up there as well. Obviously, a Buck is foregone by, or is being foregoed, rather, or they will forego it. Words are hard sometimes.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. The turtleneck might be cutting off blood flow to my brain.
You know what also might be missing, or who also might be missing his braid? Canadian. As Nyx, or actually it was Jarvis, I believe, who got that headshot.
Former teammates, and I believe there's been some action on that doorway with Jarvis in the past, Michael, if it comes to memory here. So Canadian giving some credit, the tip of the hat to Jarvis, former teammates.
Young's going to be pushing his way into the south lobby, and that's going to be the attack strategy for Evil Geniuses as they set up on the A site. An unreinforced wall is going to make these Excaros kind of actually bad, as they will be shot through the wall. And it's not all of them taken out, but it's enough of them to deny a crouch roll, and that's definitely really important.
All it takes is one or two to completely throw it off, especially if they're in different places. Then you end up with this weird Tetris-esque disjointed look, but actually, it appears that there is a suitable amount to be able to get through, possibly not enough to crouch through it.
We'll see.
That's a big no there from our spectators.
It could definitely be a little bit of soft destruction from either the lifeline from Geo or even just the guns from the rest of EG could make that big enough to rotate through.
Yeah, and it also depends on whether the IQ is bringing breaching charges or not as well. That is something that is definitely up there indeed, but NVK will have to put himself in a line of fire, and then of course you'll see him. So that's obviously a plan that will be unlikely to materialize. Mint playing from above in a similar position that we saw from Pojo in the 6 Invitational Qualifiers, but having a shield at his back, it's an opportunity to drop through that hatch whenever it comes. This might actually be an early execute here with a minute to go as we see the first round of logic bombs go off in the latter half of round number 8. And amidst the smoke, Pojo's going to wander right in.
No!
He misses. It's 2 for EG. No, Necrox, a team kill, gets gunned down from Hot and Cold. And an advantage from EG still there, but they'll find themselves now trailing after an unfortunate team kill and a kill from Hot and Cold on DarkZero. NVK and Geo will still be there on the board with Nyx likely to creep up ever so slightly. He sees the IQ and will light up NVK, finish him off, and Geo now the one-man army. But no, he's not going to be able to do it as DarkZero cleans up, and they will tie it. Excellent fashion and a good read despite an early scare losing both Nyx as well. Or not Nyx, losing Pojo early on.
Yeah, that death on Pojo's side was really hard to watch. When he went for the vault, so in case you did not know, if you haven't played Rainbow6, when you vault, you cannot pivot fully. You're restricted in your mouse movement. So Pojo saw the planter mid-vault because he was vaulting out of smoke. As you know, smoke will obstruct your screen pretty heavily if you're standing in it. So he was vaulting to get out of the smoke. In the middle of the vault, he saw the planter, but he couldn't adjust his crosshair enough because of the vault. But if he hadn't vaulted, he wouldn't have seen the planter because of the smoke. So that was an overall a mess of a situation there for Pojo. And it looked bad. It was hard to watch, but it wasn't entirely his fault. And definitely something to note. The more important thing, of course, is that DarkZero was able to fully recover that round. Yeah, we saw a little bit of a hiccup there. I believe it was Necrox who got that TK, I want to say, on the Dokkaebi.
You'd be correct.
And the rest of Evil Geniuses really not having a whole lot of teeth in the round. They've got the plant down. They played their utility game really well. But when DarkZero started challenging, it just seemed like they were the ones always coming out on top. The initial flurry, though, was really good from EG. Just the post plant that really didn't work out. Now, going up to Billiards here for DarkZero, they have been 100% successful so far on coastline defense, as much as they struggled on the attack. So this is a little bit of, I think this is shades of the first half now being repeated here, but for the opposite team, and that's going to make for a very close match.
Yeah. Look at DarkZero's lineup here. The way that they tend to play Ela is not that strange when you put it in the broader context of how everybody plays her, but typically what you'll have is they will revolve around strong Ela play in a very specific area, and it will be a key choke point that they know that their opponents need to take. I would imagine we're going to see something similar here from Nyx, because Ela's not the... She's not the killing machine that she used to be. She's not the Polish super soldier that, you know, used to be able to run all over the map with impact grenades, a great gun, a laser beam of, you know...
She's not an essential operator anymore.
She's not, absolutely. It's also a bit of Xkaros being shut out yet again. They've got Canadian on Hibana. How many operators has Troy played so far today?
I think it was Young earlier on Hibana. And this rotation for Canadian, I mean, he is... You know, it's funny because in the past you would say Canadian's one of the less versatile players on Evil Geniuses. He tended to play a lot of the more static roles, but now it seems that there's been a little bit of a mental shift there for EG because Canadian has been playing everything.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's something along the lines of, I don't want to play this anymore, and Troy's just like, yeah, all right, I'll pick it up. Give it to me.
Well, it's 2 operators on attack so far from 4 that I can recall on defense, and Buck has also become a signature operator for him as of late, especially after BC moving to a coaching role with DarkZero has been taken off. And this is, of course, a great map for Buck all across the board. But 90 seconds in here, very first kill is going to come to Hot and Cold. Say goodbye to the Twitch, a great weapon that will be silenced. Young is there to at least trade one off, so both members of EG and DZ will lose 1 apiece. And with Pojo, you're going to lose the only C4 on the board as well.
The Dokkaebi is really distracting DarkZero and giving away their positions, but at the same time, there's no capitalization by Evil Geniuses, so it's not really going to matter in the end. Mid playing aggressively inside of Hookah. We've seen this position played quite a lot for both teams, and he's still holding on for dear life.
It's going to have to be a very quick push in, and Mid with some great bullet pen on NVK through that Hookah door. It's the second logic bomb will now ring away. Too far off from one another, it's going to be EG and DZ. Running and colliding head first by the A bomb, and Young will be the focal point. He's at the double doors inside of Aquarium, looking to push on into Billiard. Houghton will be the bait, though, as that Rook is just going to let his phone continue to buzz away, giving his position to the rest of EG. Sustaining quite a bit of damage as your first set of smokes go down from Necrox. He'll peek wide and take out Nyx. And EG will continue to peek around the bomb chassis, answered by Houghton, traded off by Young, leaving us into a 2v2. Jarvis, as well as Mint, very far off the beat. They'll push right on in, and it's a double piece, both from Mint and Jarvis, to take out Canadian and Young. And for the very first time today, DarkZero will take over the lead, 5-4.
Very well done round there from DarkZero. Good job to adjust to everything that Evil Geniuses was doing. You'll notice that EG started with trying to take out the north and east side of the building, as DarkZero had been doing on their attacking rounds. But then, once they decided that DarkZero was too entrenched in those locations, Evil Geniuses decided, we'll just fully rotate to Aquarium. Not a huge deal. We can come in from the south. We could just isolate our flank, buy luggage, and go for a site push. And Evil Geniuses started that site push, but were too slow. Many of you may have noticed that DarkZero did not have anyone in Billiards when EG was in Aquarium. That forced DarkZero to start rotating players back, and they did get players back in time, but it was an opportunity missed from EG, and that's the main takeaway from that situation. Once DarkZero had everybody rotated back to hold the site and the push from Aquarium, it was an easy lockout as they just refrag. And since DarkZero started the engagement with a man advantage, they ended it in a win.
Yeah. All right, so 3 consecutive rounds on defense for DarkZero. This matchup between these two teams, it's been a very interesting one, all the way back when they were known as Continuum versus Flipside to start off Season 6, and then onwards, back and forth again. The meetings between these two teams last season, of course, DZ playing under a different moniker and a different banner, ended in a 6-1 and a 6-2. The 6-1 in favor of Evil Geniuses, the 6-2 in favor of DZ when they were known as SK Gaming. And of course, a little bit of a rivalry between these teams, not just in terms of the fact that they're 2 of the oldest consistent rosters, but also former coach of Evil Geniuses, Bacon, is now the main coach for DarkZero, and former competitor for Evil Geniuses, Brandon Carr, BC, now also on DarkZero. Jarvis used to play on this roster. He's now on DZ too.
Actually, technically, if we're talking about consistent rosters, DarkZero is, I think, the oldest team in North America. Like, if we're balancing consistency with longevity, then it's DarkZero.
Yeah. And they are already shaping up here to have a very fast push in. Young, amidst the smoke, will be drawn out and pushed out by a great toss from Pojo Man. That's Necrox unable to do the trick and be able to give Young covering fire. Does appear that that second smoke canister will miss, though, and Young is going to be able to get this plant down in 60 seconds. Oh, another team kill from Necrox. As Hot and Cold is there, but it's EG in perfect place to get the remainder of DZ as they push on out. Looked like Mint was trying to possibly stick the diffuser there, but you hear the sides of the MP7, and he's just doing it. Mint is being able to get the diffuser down, and he's taken out by Canadian. A great play, swiftly traded off by Pojo with NVK there, and Pojo so far back. We'll need to try and find Canadian and NVK. Canadian on yet another roster, but it's NVK finding Pojo, and we'll tie it back up at 5 apiece. That took 60 seconds, and a missed smoke from Pojo is what doesn't stop the plant going down from Young in the doorway of delivery, 5-5, and the first dropped round on defense from DarkZero.
So, Canadian was the real hero in that round. While the plant did get down, and that was impressive in of itself from Evil Geniuses, Canadian coming from behind was the only one who possibly could have denied the disable there from Mint, because it would have likely been covered with the rest of DZ if it had not been for Canadian from behind, a factor that DZ could not account for. Well played, good game sense there from Canadian, truly, to clutch that round and deny the disable. Mint was very close. He was about 2 seconds away from getting it. It's going to be a 6-pick off of the glass into a Ying here from Evil Geniuses, so they're not going to get stale as they go to attack the double bar. You know, I was honestly expecting that to be a complete waste of the smokes and a failed rush from Evil Geniuses, which was going to result in a DarkZero round, to be honest with you guys. But that is a really heartbreaking gas canister miss from Poach. Unfortunate is the word I would use to describe that situation on the DarkZero side of things. They were so close to the recovery, but assumption that the gas canister was in a good position is what and ultimately did them in. There was no other reaction to deny the rush in through that service entrance.
All right, round number 11, and we're going to need every single round, so that efficiency that we said from Evil Geniuses will at least fall by the wayside for this matchup in particular, and it will be our second match of the day that will go all the way to 12 rounds. I know that we have both commented on how much better the caliber of competition has been simply by adding these 2 extra rounds, and boy, has it ever.
Every single one of these matches I'm expecting to go pretty far. I mean, we've got EXT versus Rise for the last one, Rogue versus SSG right after this. I mean, these are some close contests happening.
Yeah. Great drone work here from Necrox to be able to spot the Valkyrie. And one thing that DarkZero hasn't done so well in the past in Coastline, but have been better on through three defenses. So I once again struggle over my words. Thank you, that was a good recovery, I like to think, is the ability to fight for trades. Well, it's not going to be there this round at all. Stunningly absent from round number 11 as it's a double entry from Evil Geniuses to find Jarvis playing downstairs in kitchen. And it's actually often Jarvis who's in positions where there's just nobody within a quarter mile to trade him off. Think about when he plays the ACOG upstairs inside of theater, and now playing the Valkyrie down on that main floor. They'll find EG cracking this round open and giving themselves an early lead.
We've seen this from both teams, though, to be fair. Whenever the early pick happens, almost never is there a refrag for either side, when it's EG giving it away or when it's DZ giving it away. Necrox is going to lay in those Candelas into Sandwich and the Sunrise Bar, and he now has full control over the B bomb site. And you're going to see right after him an attempted plant, but it's Mint to get the refrag, and a second for Mint. Excellent gunplay. And he's going to vault right into his enemy, EG cleaning up the rest of his team, and what a sweep there from Evil Geniuses. DarkZero unable to really put up much of a fight apart from that double kill from Mint.
A good swing back in favor of Evil Geniuses with them now on match point. That brief run that DZ seemed to have over for the time being. Keep in mind that right now DarkZero in a very tight competition with Reciprocity for that second overall place. Reciprocity is actually leapfrogged over EG for the time being.
Yep.
Into sole ownership of first place. EG with a draw here could possibly take it back. We'd have to see the round differential between these two teams.
Yeah.
But a win would obviously give it back to first. And once again would create more space between Reciprocity and DZ. And would actually be DarkZero's first loss. Evil Geniuses, Reciprocity, and DarkZero, none of those 3 teams have lost from my understanding. They have a win and draws across the board combined. Feel free to correct me on that.
No, I think you're right.
Defenders, protect your
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I think DZ has 3 wins and a draw.
Yeah, 3 wins and a draw. Reciprocity has 3 wins and a draw, and Evil Geniuses has 4 wins. On the note of the round differential, because you were touching on it, Reciprocity had a draw, which means 6 rounds, so that's going to really hurt their differential. And on the other hand, Evil Geniuses have not had a draw, but at the same time, if this is a draw, they will have, I believe, the same or very similar round differential. No, Reciprocity should have 1 up on the round differential front if this draws out, because they have a 7-2, a 7-1, and a 7-3. EG have 2 7-3s and a 7-2. No, and a 7-1. Well, whatever.
Got it. So
it'll be close.
The point being made is that it's going to be very close between these 2 teams. Reciprocity, obviously, and EG leaving rounds on the table in these 2 matchups, especially against one another. You want to be as efficient as possible, and efficiency will be the name of the game here, especially in this very final round. It's It's going to be another kitchen defense. It'll be the third time that we see DarkZero go down to kitchen. They were successful the first time, which is what set the ball rolling on DZ's great start to the defense. But then, after that, they kind of fell off with their second return to the kitchen in the bars. This first floor not being very kind to DarkZero so far. Good lineup being brought from EG. They're not going to be bringing as much disruption. There won't be any phone calls ringing. There won't be any candelas to deal with, as this looks like it's just going to simply be a disrupt and smoke plant from EG. Given that it's kitchen, I would wager that we're probably going to see the push come in from delivery yet again, as that tends to happen, but I'd be too surprised if we see a lineup from EG. It tends to go over towards the bathroom side of things and keep somebody posted over at the kitchen window.
EG is currently prioritizing that top floor control, and DarkZero has put no emphasis on it at all. There's no one, as I can tell, as much as I can tell, actually roaming upstairs. Because there are no roamers upstairs, or at least not immediately upstairs, as we get to see finally Nyx is actually going to be on the top floor by luggage. That's going to allow for easy access on Evil Genius's side. And if they can use that top floor to their advantage, could be a huge boon. Some very long angle play there from Nyx, and he's going to do quite a lot of damage to NVK. He will fall back, as he's done his job of distracting the Ashe. And Necrox is going to miss some important shots there, just barely, and some more, as Nyx does all of the damage for his team so far. A little on Necrox, a little on NVK, but quite a lot overall. And that's going to put EG in, oh no, and plus that missing of the drone there from Geo is going to put EG in a really bad spot. Finally seeing the Mira getting played here from DarkZero could actually work out great for them here.
The perfect run for EG, very much in jeopardy with 60 seconds left in this round. And low HP on at least two of their members in both Necrox and NVK. Geo trying to play this long angle as he's going for some punch holes in the wall.
All things considered, Evil Genius is going to have to get some good picks here to make anything happen. Canadian will get 2 in response to Nyx's 1, though, and that's an excellent kill double for Canadian. And a third for Canadian as he opens up the floor. It's now just Houghton in a 1 versus 3, and Young is going for the plant.
Very easy here, as Houghton just needs to walk on in. He'll catch 1 as Zenpoppy Geo tries to move out of the way, but the diffuser goes down, and Young will be in a very good position, hugging the corner. Oh, but Hot and Cold will persevere. Canadian is from above. He's going to try to blow open a hole in the floor. Sledging away. There he goes. Exposed. He sees it. Canadian, get your kill. There you go. A 4K from the captain of the team. And this will be the first loss for DarkZero and the first 5-0 that we have here for any team on the standings, and a perfect run from EG. We'll continue onwards.
Evil Genius is really having the best season so far I've seen from them in a long time, and it's pretty dominant as well. DarkZero is, I would say, one of their closest contenders in North America, and it went all the way, sure, 7-5, and that's the first time that Evil Geniuses is going to get that close to a failure, but at the same time, it still felt like an EG match through a lot of that. I have to say, if it weren't for what happened upstairs, though, that very easily could have been a draw. It was a huge mistake on the DarkZero side to push upstairs the way that they did, and expose themselves the way that they did, allowing for Canadian to get that double. Following that, Canadian, great game sense, disables the mirror window right after, and is in the perfect post-plant position directly above the diffuser. So, in the right place, at the right time, and playing it perfectly was Canadian to clutch that out.
I was a little surprised that we didn't see a fall off of that diffuse to at least try and take a fight against the sledge above Canadian, but I mean, you could have been a second away thinking maybe he'll flub the ability to destroy the roof above you, or the floor, or the ceiling above you. I'm not entirely certain, but we do have an interview with Canadian ready, and of course you saw the good spirits that he was in at the conclusion of that matchup, so always a treat to be able to talk to him. Let's bring up the interview here. Congratulations on your victory today. How do you feel?
Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
Pretty darn good. Excellent. Your hair's not blue yet, by the way. You promised the fans that it would be blue for Invitational, and we are getting very close to the actual date.
The appointment is set for the 31st. It's before we go to boot camp. My hair will be blue.
So they can clip it in that case then and hold you to account. So excellent. One thing that we remarked today, first and foremost, your flexibility in particular, and I am glad that it's you doing the interview today. You played, by my count, 6 or 7 operators through the 12 rounds today, which, no disrespect to you, but a lot of times the flexibility tends to come through the rest of the roster, with you typically on, you know, your staple operators. This is a conscious choice, I'm imagining, that you've flexed onto other roles. And when you go round by round, what goes through your mind to be able to make that choice as to what your team needs from you?
Usually, actually, I have the most freedom in terms of operator picks. I'm typically our sixth pick, as well as Geo. Usually, it's just kind of reading into how I think the other team's going to respond to our previous round, or how they think we're going to play, how they want to play the round, basically. So, like, for example, on our defenses, the very first hookah round, I knew that they prefer a take where they take all up top and they don't take any lower control. And I ran the Vigil. That wasn't as good of a decision, but I noticed they took no lower control at all. So the next round, I went Pulse, and I basically waited to late drop. I didn't want to get droned at all, waited to late drop, and then we got a free C4 kill from lower. And basically, like, we won the round from free information, an early pick, all that. And then the round after that, I knew, like, there's no way they're going to let me sit lower again with Pulse, so ran a Rook up top to take just take fights, upper control, and they ended up taking lower control, and it worked out well.
Now, with a map like Coastline, it has traditionally been one of the friendliest maps to attackers, but over the last couple play days, we've actually seen that shift. Now, every single map is trending towards more of a defender-sided affair, and as somebody who has an extraordinary amount of game knowledge and somebody who is actually on record saying that Coastline, quote-unquote, sucks to defend, why do you think Coastline is tending to be more defender-favored, especially over the last couple play days? Is it the ban from Lion? Is it the way that the operator bans have been falling? What's your take on it?
I mean, Lion was huge on that map because, like, it cuts down rotations even further. So that was a big thing. But I think mostly just there's more footage of teams on the map. You can kind of read into what type of takes teams do more often. And Coastline's kind of a map where you kind of all in on one side. So, like, when you're defending Kitchen, for example, like, you either all in your resources up top for theater side, or you all in your resources towards, like, Orange Bar. It's kind of hard to do a 50-50 and have a balance with that. So if you can kind of read into how the other team takes, you can kind of skew things in your favor, but also it can work against you if the other team rotates or does something different.
Right, and you pointed it out very well, and we actually talked about it on the broadcast, was a lot of times Hot and Cold would be dispatched on his own to just simply buck above or buck below, and then once you take care of him, there's no other presence on the rest of that floor, which is something you said you read into as well. Last question is going to actually be in relation to your match yesterday, and something that's happened a couple times so far this season, which is Gio's inability to step in sometimes due to, his illness or his internet going out. But you have a pro league caliber coach who can just come in at the last second and be able to play well. What changes as a team do you make when you know you have to sub in Gotcha? Is it just full steam ahead, or are there small modifications you make with Gotcha coming in to replace Gio on the off chance that Gio can't play that day?
I think we tend to focus a lot more on the strategy and less with like our fluctuation in terms of like making plays, or like when Gio and I, or when we're all in the match, Gio and I tend to kind of try to be unpredictable and rotate to different positions, kind of go off our typical strat, and we're not too rigid. Whereas we play more rigid with Gotcha. We kind of fit him in directly to whatever the specific role is that he needs to fit, and we kind of just focus on that. But it definitely helps having Gotcha. I mean, he has an incredible understanding of the game. He works incredibly hard. So we're really lucky to have him on board.
And it's nice to see, as you mentioned, your flexibility and how you often will be the sixth pick on your team, that you also have a coach who can step in a pinch. It's been a story for all of Rainbow6 that coaches find a way. So with that said, anything to your fans, sponsors, viewers, org, etc. as we end the interview? Just
thank you for supporting us, and hope we can keep this up heading into the invitation. I can't speak.
It's something going on right now. I can't speak either, don't worry. So, but congratulations again, and good luck in the next match.
Thank you.
Thanks. So, the only undefeated team in North America in terms of draws as well, because keep in mind, reciprocity now, the only other team that doesn't have a loss outside of EG, with DZ getting handed their first loss today.
Yeah, EG has not dropped a single point yet.
That's
correct.
correct.
The way we could point it. They've got full efficiency on this season, and they have been looking absolutely dominant. Not a whole lot to say to take away from them, to be honest. They came very close to losing that last one, but they won in the end, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah, all that matters is you get the points. Doesn't matter how close it gets. Every single round could come down to the final second, but a win is a win, and EG has 5 of them so far and a perfect record. We have Rogue versus SSG up next, the team that won the United States Nationals, who's in a bit of a lull at the moment and is lagging behind its competition versus Space Station, your North American invite winners for that qualifier spot. So 2 pretty good teams. We'll see what ends up happening, and it's going to be a rematch from Vegas last month as well. It'll be exciting. We'll see you after the break.